Hi everyone, this is a rather spontaneous video that I'm recording because I sent out last week several handful of invitations, personal invitations to people to my emerging men's group, and I have realized in the last couple of days that I have described a bit in the message, in the invitation, what men's groups are about, but I haven't really explained it well enough, I have the feeling. So my aim is to do that in this video. So what's a men's group? It is a get-together, in emerging men's case, digitally, of men to share and to express and to support each other. For me, there are two very important topics, vulnerability and sharing. So when I talk about vulnerability, I mean the showing of one's imperfections, the showing of one's weaknesses, the showing of things that one is not able to do even though one would like to. Because, and I will touch on that a bit later as well, we are often, and men also, a lot taught to be, or it is communicated to us that we ought to be perfect, that we ought to be knowing the answers. So I want to share a story of me showing vulnerability recently, which can give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So I was giving a lecture for a course at a German university, and I was familiar with the topic, but not in depth familiar. And I've prepared myself well, but I knew that I was not going to be able to answer all the questions that might pop up from the students. And my teaching is very interactive, so there were going to be a lot of questions. And I told the students, I told them, look, I'm here to teach you, and I have prepared, but I also know that I do not have all the answers to your questions. And I will give my best to try and answer your questions, but if I don't know, I will tell you. I will tell you I don't know. And then we can together see what we do with that. Maybe somebody else in the group has an idea or actually knows the answer. So in that way, I reduced the hierarchy, and I became more approachable. And I was also just staying real, being honest and authentic and vulnerable, because I was showing that I didn't know everything. I was not perfect. So the second one is sharing. It happens so much that we have conversations that are just without any meaningful content, and me included. So we talk about maybe sports, maybe the weather, maybe even things that have a bit of a meaning. For example, our travel experience, or that we met somebody, or something that has some meaning, but oftentimes we don't go deeper into what's actually within us and moving us. And sharing things that move us, it doesn't have to be about trauma or anything traumatic. It can just be something that moved you, that influences you. We oftentimes don't do that simply because of maybe we're not used to it. We are a bit afraid perhaps of how the other people would react to it. We have this fear of social reaction, rejection, and then we kind of leave those things a bit unprocessed sometimes. So, for example, when I was small, probably around 8, I I don't even know what I did. I did something nice, and my mom bought me candy, and she bought me a lot of candy, and then I felt guilty because I felt I wasn't worthy of so much candy, and then I told myself, well, I shouldn't be thinking that I'm unworthy, so I felt even worse, and I was not able to tell my mom because I was feeling bad about me thinking about not being worthy. So I just kept it, and this kind of silly traumatic experience was not no, I'm missing the word. It was not processed for a long time just because I didn't share about it. And then once I shared about it, I could let go of that, and I immediately felt a bit lighter in my being because that was something that kind of had me down, was unprocessed, and I was carrying with me, a weight that I was carrying with me. Let me just see. So, that's an example of sharing. And in a men's group, we make space for sharing of these kinds of stories, or maybe even others that are more dramatic and others that are much more lighter. We make we make a place for vulnerability, for expressing, for listening, because listening is very important. In the last decade, maybe, the attention and awareness about how women are depicted in advertisement as like always supermodels and super beautiful, and the body always perfect, rose, and because of that, advertisements have changed a bit to also include models that are not super skinny and not all perfect and beautiful. And that's great. I'm really happy to see that, and that's a good thing. For men, that hasn't happened. And the way I see it, there's a very simple reason to that, because we men are taught to be perfect and not complain about those kind of things. So actually, I don't want to go too deep into this topic because I have an interview with Kenny from who's a men's group facilitator in the UK, where we explore this topic in depth. I'll put the link below. But it's an interesting idea that we men are just always indoctrinated into these thoughts that we have to be strong, we have to be powerful, and that be like physically strong or powerful in terms of money, in terms of having lots of sex, in terms of being perfect, not having any flaws. And we all know that's not true, but we often just keep up this image because that's just how society is in a way. And because of that, we don't share, we don't express vulnerability a lot. And that's why I want to start. I'm starting Emerging Men, because that's something that I see is needed in the world for men to express themselves more, to share more, and to have support by other men who do the same and feel the same and are ready to be real, to be authentic. So I hope this video now gave you a bit more of an idea what the men's groups are about. And if it's interesting, please do watch the interview because it's fascinating. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just write me a message. Hope to hear from you. Bye.